People hire people, so your clients need to get in front of people in order to get the job. Welcome back to the Disability Hiring Playbook, a mini-series dedicated to helping vocational rehabilitation counselors and their clients navigate today's competitive work environment, source more interviews, and actually land a job in the world that we live in today post-COVID. My name is Tanner Gears, your host, and my goal is to help you, vocational rehabilitation counselor, successfully close more cases and help your clients truly achieve competitive integrated employment. It is my dream. It is my life's purpose. And if you are listening here on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, the video version on YouTube will have some additional screenshots or visuals that you may find helpful. So just search for Disability Hiring Playbook on YouTube, or you can find the direct links to our YouTube channel on our website at accessabilityofficer.com. That's accessabilityofficer.com, two A's, accessabilityofficer.com. And in this last and final episode of the Disability Hiring Playbook, we're going to be talking about how everything is going to be coming together and your clients will be able to source more interviews for the jobs that they really want and knock that interview right out of the park. And while the Disability Hiring Playbook mini-series does cover a lot, it actually barely touches the surface of depth that we go into across our flagship vocational rehabilitation training program for your clients, the Getting Hired Playbook. So let's briefly cover what we've discussed thus far. And at the end of this episode, I'll be sharing more information about how to determine if the Getting Hired Playbook is the right training for your clients, for your employment-ready clients who really do want to go to work and who have a vocational goal of competitive integrated employment. Now, we started off in episode 1 talking about my background, how we got here, and the origin story of the Disability Hiring Playbook. In episode 2, we detailed why your clients need to be on LinkedIn and building their brand and digital business card there. We didn't cover it in detail in the mini-series or at all, really, but the next step in the full Getting Hired Playbook training is a dedicated 2 weeks and module to developing a strategic plan and tactical roadmap for your client achieving their vocational goal. This is one of the most valuable components to the entire GHP, Getting Hired Playbook training, for multiple reasons. But in the third episode here in the Disability Hiring Playbook, we talked about the importance of your client building their network, and most importantly, their strategic network. This is a very, very powerful tactic. So if you missed the details on that, how to build a strategic network, I highly recommend both you and your clients listen to that episode. Then in episode 4, we covered how your clients should start building their brand on LinkedIn, why that's important, and how to start developing thought leadership in their field so that they begin to become a peer, a leader in the space, not just someone that's looking for a job in the space. Now, in this final episode, we're going to be discussing exactly how your clients will get more interviews and how to come to that interview with the best information possible to blow that hiring manager's socks off. Seriously, we've got to do this because remember, job hunters with disabilities have the most difficult job in the world because not only do they need to make a hiring manager believe that they're the best candidate for the job, but your client will also need to convince this hiring manager that they're the best person for the job despite the other 100 candidates without a disability who also have similar education, work experience, credentials, and skills. Super, super difficult to do. So that's exactly what we're going to cover in this episode. We're going to talk about this strategically. We're going to provide tactical examples, and we're going to dive right in. And this first starts off with actually searching for open positions, actually sourcing them. In the Getting Hired Playbook training program, we teach your clients how to do this automatically, setting up alerts, newsletter subscriptions, etc., so that they get these job opportunities coming right to their fingertips, right? We need to stop wasting our clients' time searching for jobs, and we need to teach our clients how to have those jobs come to them automatically so that they can spend their time doing the most important work, which is what we detailed here in the Disability Hiring Playbook. And in this episode, that means 1, getting that interview, 2, preparing for that interview, then 3, rocking and rolling on that interview. So 1, how do they even find the opportunities for interviews? Again, this starts by finding the companies that your client wants to work for, creating a list for that, searching for them on LinkedIn, and then beginning to identify the people that work at that company that can really help them move forward, right? The most important person to connect with for your client at the company that they want to work for, the most important person is someone who already has their job. Even better is someone who used to previously work at that company who had that job. Right? Because that person has no inhibition about sharing any of the problems, sharing about like what their culture's like, what the work demands are like, whether remote opportunities are possible, what the hiring management process or what the hiring manager's like, what the interview process was like, what salary or compensation looks like. People who already work at the company that your clients want to work for have a treasure trove of information. And when your client asks the right questions to those individuals, it gives them the insight and the data that they need to really rock and roll on that interview. So number 1 is that when your client identifies a company that they want to work for, they need to go to that profile on LinkedIn and search and then filter for people. Okay. And then they need to filter for their job title, the job title that they want. Right? So they can find the open job listings or previous job listings with that specific job title. Okay. And then start to identify the people at that company who currently work there or have previously worked there and start sending connection requests to them. Start asking them for help, letting them know, right? Here is a perfect message that your client can send to a person that previously worked at a company that they want to work for in the job that they want to have. Okay. Here's the message, right? Hi, Tanner. Saw that you previously worked at this company at this role. Would love to talk with you about that as I'm highly considering applying for a position. Would really appreciate any insights that you can provide. Right? That's it. Right? And then think about all the previous people that the company used to employ, right, that have the same job that your client wants. It's a ton. There's a lot of different people. So you're going to start to engage with those people that previously worked at the company. Your client is then going to get on the phone or on a Zoom meeting or over email and ask all these questions, literally pick their brain for 15 or 20 minutes and source all that information. Now your client has the information to come to an interview, understanding how they work, understanding what's important, understanding the goals of that company, what is really important to the role and how they can move forward, how they can move up. Right? How they're going to navigate politics or interdepartmental difficulties or understand what applications, like what workplace applications that they use so that they know, hey, when I get there, when I actually get the job, the workplace is actually not going to be accessible to me digitally. Or quite the contrary, if you know that the employer is already using accessible tools, they can step into that role right away with confidence, right? So interviewing people who used to previously work at the company who have the same job title as what your vocational client is looking for is the best person, absolutely best person to source information from so that your client can be best prepared for the interview. That is like worth its weight in digital gold. I don't know how heavy digital things are, but it sounds like a lot, right? So that's what your clients want to do, okay? Connect with people who previously worked at the company and interview them about the job. You will gain so much information from doing that activity. And some of the most valuable being, do I even want to work for a company like this? Right? Vocational rehabilitation counselors, you guys know this. How many times have your clients got their job? They got the job they want for the company that they want, and then they get on the job and it's inaccessible. Like the workplace applications just aren't accessible. Like we deal with this all the time when we work with our enterprise customers. Okay? Workplace applications are notoriously inaccessible. So your client being able to source that information and know going in, hey, I'm going to be able to do this, or hey, it's going to be an uphill battle, but I'm going to dig in. That is so insanely valuable, incredibly invaluable. But what if your client doesn't know the companies that are actually hiring for those jobs. This happens all the time. And this is what Indeed is so great for. Again, we cover all of this in detail in the Getting Hired Playbook. But by searching for job titles that your client is familiar with on Indeed, right? Indeed will start to begin pulling up companies that are hiring for roles that are similar to that job title, that have hired in the past or have looked for candidates in the past for that specific job title, right? Like I said, 508 assurance analyst on Indeed is going to pull up more than just 508 assurance analyst. It's going to pull up 508 compliance analyst, compliance consultant, all these different things. And by doing that, your client can then understand what companies are actually hiring for those roles. And they can begin to create a database of companies that they want to be actively prospecting into, actively looking into in order to find a job. Okay. And the best part about it is that the job descriptions that these companies, like inside the job descriptions, is going to give your client a ton of information on what they can ask the person that works at that company or has worked at that company, right? Like, for digital accessibility, like, hey, how often were you guys doing manual accessibility testing? How often were you guys remediating documents for accessibility? How often were you guys actually testing mobile applications or websites? How often were you guys performing digital accessibility training? What kind of involvement did we have with the executive team? Was it really more about the project managers and like the technical team, or would you have to do other things outside of that, right? So, I mean, absolutely connecting with individuals who have worked at that job is so insane, so valuable. So highly recommend. So 1, identify the companies. 2, start to find those job posts. 3, understand what the job titles are actually called. 4, go to LinkedIn and start searching those companies for those people with those specific job titles and reach out to them. Done diddy. That is the playbook, right? It's going to be specific to your client and their industry, and we teach exactly how to do this. We hold their hands as they're coming through the Getting Hired Playbook to make sure that they're doing this right and efficiently and accurately. So critical. But imagine what the hiring manager is going to think when your client shows up to the interview and your client already knows kind of how things work. Your client already knows the objectives and the goals of the business. Your client already knows what's really important to the department, to the hiring manager, and to the company, and they can speak to that. Like this is how your client separates themselves from the 100 other people who don't have a disability. This is how you do it. You come to the table with more insight, knowledge that can't be refuted, right? At the end of the day, your client is going to know their stuff if they come through the Getting Hired Playbook. They are going to show up so prepared, so over-prepared that it's going to blow the hiring manager's socks off, right? And you can see this in our testimonies, right? Like in the testimonies on our YouTube channel, you will see this in our Getting Hired Playbook testimonies. The next step is actually getting the attention of these hiring managers and their recruiters. Like, how do you do that? How do you get someone's attention who's not really actively looking for you or don't know that you exist yet? You want to be top of mind all the time. At least your clients do, right? People are going to forget about your clients because, like you, vocational rehabilitation counselor with 80 or 100 clients on your caseload, right? They're going to forget about your clients because they're busy and they have other things on their mind. They got a million things going on, right? So this is why your clients must consistently show up in the hiring manager and recruiter's notification feed, at least on a weekly basis at a minimum. Right? So how are we going to do that? Number 1, we're going to systematically engage with the content that the hiring managers and recruiters are doing, right? We're going to like it, we're going to comment on it, and we're going to reshare those posts, right? If they post a job posting, we're going to reshare it, right? Why? Simply because it's going to put your client in the notification feed of those hiring managers and recruiters, plain and simple. And then if you think back to us setting up their brand, right, and their digital business card, right, they're going to have a great profile. They're going to have a great catchy headline, and they're going to have a great landing page, i.e. their profile, their digital business card, right, that's really going to hook them in, hook the recruiter in, hook the hiring manager in, and be like, hey, I got to pay attention to this guy, or why not this? Why don't I just reach out to this candidate who's got their who's got their LinkedIn profile updated and says they're looking for a role that I'm hiring for, why don't I just reach out to them? This happens. Recruiters and hiring managers reach out to our clients all the time. 2, be thoughtful, right? Your clients need to be super thoughtful. Yes, liking and commenting is great. Resharing is great. But if you really want to catch someone's attention, don't just say great post, right? You say, I really loved this post, especially the point about X, Y, or Z. It made me think about this. Then tag, hey, at Tanner Gears, what did you think about this? Right? There's multiple pro tips in that, right? One is that you're like in the notification, in your comment, in the thing that the recruiter or hiring manager is going to be notified on, how you engage with their content, it's going to be thoughtful. It's going to be like, oh, wow, this person actually read what I was talking about. They didn't just read it, but they synthesized it. They thought about it, and then they provided their own insight. As a matter of fact, they even tagged somebody who thinks that this post might be important. Not only does that do a lot of benefits for your client in terms of the LinkedIn algorithm and getting more eyes on that post, more eyes on that comment, but it's going to leave a super duper impression. It's going to make them feel good. And if you listen to the last episode, you know why feeling is an important thing that we teach your clients in the GHP. All right, so be thoughtful. 3, and I already mentioned this, tag your closest connections in the comments if it's relevant to them, okay? Tag your closest connections. I just demonstrated exactly how to do this, but it provides a ton of value to the recruiter and hiring manager's posts in terms of reach and visibility, but also, again, to your client, okay? Now, when you're sharing the posts or job posts of the hiring manager, don't just share the job post, right? Like share the job post and then the insights that your client has gleaned from doing their research on that company. Hey, here's a role for a digital accessibility senior analyst at JP Morgan Chase. Really love what they're doing for disability employment. If you haven't seen how they're positively impacting the local disability community in Miami, I highly recommend you check that out. Either way, JP Morgan, great company to work for, right? Like that is way more valuable, way more powerful, way more attention getting, right, than just resharing the post, okay? Now, visiting the profiles of hiring managers and recruiters is like one of the lowest hanging fruit, easiest things that your clients can do right now that's really going to put them on the recruiting and hiring manager's profile, okay? Every time your client visits their profile, they're going to be in the notification feed every time, okay? And so if your client really wants to get the attention of somebody, at a minimum, they should be visiting their profile weekly. But a strategic person might be doing it daily. Just saying. The next thing you can do, and we've talked about this in other mediums too, but endorse the recruiting and hiring managers, right? Again, puts your client, their headline, their picture, their tagline, their name right in front of that recruiter and that hiring manager. Okay? So that's what you want to be doing, is you want to be finding the companies, finding the job post, understanding who works at that company, reaching out to those people, interviewing them, understanding what you can about that company, right? And then setting yourself up for the interview, right? You want to get all that data, all that information, all that insight before you actually ask for the interview. And that's the next step. That's what I'm going to teach you next. How do you ask for the interview? Now, all of this is systematic. You can't just ask for the interview and you won't be successful. Your clients will not be successful if they just ask for the interview like this. Right? In the LinkedIn world, we call that a pitch slap. Here's my pitch, and I'm going to slap you with it, right? Pitch slap. Your clients don't want to be pitch slapping hiring managers or recruiters, okay? What they want to do, right, is be hitting them up, how I've been describing, getting into their notification feed, liking, commenting, resharing their posts, sharing other job postings that they've posted, right? Build up the law of reciprocity. Build up the equity in their social bank account, right? You got to do that first, and then second, you make the ask. Second, you make the ask, right? Once you've established the credibility, once you've established the authority, once you've established the social equity, and you've leveraged the law of reciprocity, then your client asks. When do they ask? They ask when the job post that goes up that they want, They ask then. They ask the hiring manager, they ask the recruiter then for the interview. So what does that look like? It is very specific. It is absolutely insanely specific. And this is exactly how your client will stand out as compared to everybody else who's also messaging them, asking for the interview, because they're doing that too, right? If your clients with disabilities looking for jobs are not messaging hiring managers and recruiters, other candidates are. But here's how your client is going to separate themselves from every other candidate. It's because of what they've already done. It's the interviews, it's the insights, it's the job postings, it's the comments, it's the likes, it's the reshares. When your client reaches out to a hiring manager or a recruiter with a message like the following, they will get the interview. Hey, Tanner, I just saw your job posting for a digital accessibility tester. I wanted you to know I am the best candidate for the job. I already know about X, Y, and Z. Insert the insights that your client has gleaned, has learned, right, from doing those interviews. And I would love to share more with you and why I'm the best candidate for the role. So let me put that all together, right? So, hey, Tanner, I just saw your digital accessibility tester post at Accessibility Officer. Love it. I've been following you, but more importantly is I already know that you're working on these initiatives, and I want to share with you exactly why I'm the best candidate for this job. Now, that was right off the hip, okay? I'm going to do another one right off the hip. Hey, John, just saw your job posting for a computer support technician at Acme Co. I am aware of the goals that you guys have to reduce your churn and improve your customer satisfaction scores and understand the difficulties you guys are facing with X, Y, and Z. I would love to discuss with you why I'm the best candidate for this role. When I have 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. open this Thursday, or either of these times good for you, right? So what did your client just do, hypothetically? What did your client just do in that situation? Your client reached out to the hiring manager or recruiter. Now, in the background, they've been showing up in their notification feed. So the hiring manager and recruiter should be aware of their face and of their name. Hey, hiring manager and recruiter, just saw you posted this job posting. I'm actually aware of these insights, these things. Now, your hiring manager, the recruiter, is going to be aware of those stuff, is going to be aware of those things, right? The company is going to say, hey, we need somebody who does this for XYZ problem, right? So when your client speaks directly to those things, when your client speaks directly to how they're operating, the struggles that they're facing, or what they're trying to achieve, right? That is going to completely separate and differentiate them from every other candidate. They're going to get the interview right away, right? And so then how do they execute on that during the interview process? I can't really get into all the details, all the questions now in the Disability Hiring Playbook, but mock interviews and interview prep, like preparing your clients for crushing that interview, is what we do and what we love to do for our clients in the Getting Hired Playbook. But this is the plan, right? This entire time, right, your clients have been using LinkedIn. They've been developing their brand. They've been developing their digital business card, right? They've created... And again, this is what we go over in the Getting Hired Playbook. They've created their strategic plan and a tactical roadmap to execute on that strategy. They've began to develop their network and their strategic network. They're building the connections and the people in their network who can really move the needle forward to them. In fact, some of your clients should have been reaching out to these people, right, to ask them about what's important in their job. Like, what was it like? You know, tell me about this. What do you think's important? What are people doing wrong? What are they doing right? Okay, so they're building their network and their strategic network. They're also building their brand and thought leadership. They're providing value to those people. They're creating content. They're curating content. They're sharing that information. They're boosting the visibility of the posts and the content that their strategic network and network is creating. Okay, so they're doing that. Then they're systematically searching for job posts and open positions, right? We go over this in the Getting Hired Playbook, how to do this systematically, how to set up alerts, how to get this coming to your clients' fingertips on autopilot. They should not be searching for jobs, right? They should, in a day, maybe two, have all the alerts, all the subscriptions, everything set up so that jobs are coming to them on autopilot. Every day, they should be working the plan in the Getting Hired Playbook or the Disability Hiring Playbook. They should be working the plan, not looking for jobs, okay? Looking for jobs is a task a monkey can do, right? Your clients aren't monkeys. Stop doing monkey work. All right. And then the next thing that they're going to be doing is continuing to engage with the recruiters and the hiring managers specifically, right? They've targeted these individuals and they are getting in their notification feed systematically, right? They're going to be also interviewing people that have worked at these companies in the past. They're going to be interviewing people that are currently working at these companies in complete transparency, in complete honesty, and letting them know, hey, I really want to work for this company. This is what I'm trying to do. Will you help me, right? That's building upon the rapport that they've been building, the brand that they've been building, the thought leadership that they've been building along the way, right? All of these pieces come together. And then there's the actual ask, right? How do we get in front of the hiring manager? How do we get in front of the recruiter? How do we ask for the interview? That's what we talked about today, right? And then how do we crush it in that interview? And that's more details that we cover in the Getting Hired Playbook. But this is it, ladies and gentlemen, vocational rehabilitation counselors and clients, right? This is how we do it. This is how a disabled, employment-ready candidate, 1, separates themselves from everybody else. 2, gets the interview. 3, actually gets the job offer, right? Remember, not only do your clients need to communicate why they're the best candidate for the job, but they're the best candidate for the job even more so than the 100 other candidates with equal experience, maybe better education, and that don't have a disability. Super hard to do, but everything that we've covered in this episode wraps up the final steps to make that happen. The other thing that we do in the Getting Hired Playbook is two modules. After we cover all of the content, we have 2 workshops, live instructor-led workshops, where we actually go into detail, where clients are sharing where they're at in the process, the problems that they're having, the difficulties that they're having, or the situations that they're having. Hey, I've got this hiring manager. Hey, I've got this recruiter. Hey, I've got this upcoming interview. Hey, I've got this job offer. Like, what do you think? And you'd be surprised, right, that our clients get so many job offers that we teach how to determine if a job offer is good enough, right? Like, how cool would that be if your client is in a position to turn down a job offer because they know it's not the right fit for them? Not only do they know it's not the right fit for them, but because they've come through the GHP, they know how to systematically source more interviews. They know how to systematically source more job offers. They know that the right job offer is coming, and this one isn't it, right? So my name is Tanner Gears. My vision is that the U.S. disabled unemployment rate is the same as the U.S. unemployment rate. The Disability Hiring Playbook miniseries, right, and the Getting Hired Playbook is my life's work, right? And it works. So my name is Tanner Gears. Again, if you think that your clients might be a good fit for the Getting Hired Playbook, go to accessabilityofficer.com/GHP. Accessibility Officer is spelled with 2 A's. That's accessabilityofficer.com/GHP, and fill out the interest form there. Okay. You can also see or read more about our vocational rehabilitation services at accessibilityofficer.com. Just click on vocational rehabilitation. It's right there in the header navigation. And my name is Tanner Gears, and I hope that you are closing more cases successfully, sooner, faster, harder, better than ever before.